In 2026, how can Manchester United sign 3 world-class back 5 specialists without even needing to rely upon an Arab billionaire takeover? Well, the answer to that question is fairly simple. By cashing in on non-essential, low availability pieces in the squad, freeing up salary space and then reinvesting in 3 players who are essentially plug-and-play upgrades who are tailor-made to a wing-back system, using contract leverage, age profile and of course amortisation to stay PSR clean. Now the path may be simple, but the decisions that United would have to make would have to be ruthless and efficient. But here's the twist, I think the transfer market going into 2026 actually tilts in United's favour, and you're going to see exactly why I say this when I discuss my 3 options to come in the summer and significantly upgrade the back 5. And so the real question that I'll be answering by the end of this video is how can United afford a title-challenging squad transformation without having to over-leverage on the future? And so in order to break that question down, we need to answer which players should be sold, why would my 3 transfer options be not only upgrades but stylistically perfect for a back 5 system, before towards the end of the video I set up the concept for the follow-up episode, analysing which of United's current central midfielders I would look to sell in order to raise funds for reinvestment. But before I go any further, if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to jerseyfifa.co. They've got a variety of different current season and retro jerseys, including the new season jerseys for the 25-26 season. They sent me over the new Manchester United home shirt with Bruno Fernandes on the back, as well as this 06-07 white Manchester United away shirt with Ronaldo number 7 on the back, alongside this Zinedine Zidane Juventus shirt from the 1990s as well. If you use code ATLANTIS at checkout, you'll get a 10% discount, so I'll leave a link in the description and in the comments section below. So if Ruben Amorim is going to stay long term, which Jim Ratcliffe seems to be suggesting, first of all he actually needs to get this current United side looking like a top 4 or 5 team, essentially the best of the rest alongside Chelsea and Newcastle behind the top 3, probably by late November, early December at the latest, because otherwise we're going to have a huge gap to make up coming into the new year. Now if your objective is to win the Premier League in 2028 or by 2028, you can't on the one hand say that a manager needs 3 years, citing Arteta as a case study who hasn't even won the league himself, and then use the excuse that the results and performances have been where they have been because the players aren't good enough yet, or because the system is so complex yet dynasty level of effective that when all the pieces are in place we'll be able to dominate the league for years to come, but then also prioritise the signing of young players who are usually going to be like 5 to 7 years away from their peak ages in their late 20s, accepting significant underperformance in terms of results and the underdevelopment in terms of individual players, fantasising about how we're going to dominate in the future just like we did under Ferguson. I mean, here's a thought, if Amorim's going to need 3 years, why don't you speed that up by signing players who are actually going to be in their peak during those 3 years, not in half to 3/4 of a decade? But adding on to this, if you're giving a manager 3 years who is only willing to use a back 3, back 5 system, then sell your fullbacks and buy the best wing-backs you can. Don't sign young fullbacks like Dorgu, who aren't even close to being elite as fullbacks, and then play them as wing-backs. And then tell the head coach to stop selecting 2 fullbacks in a wing-back system where the wing-backs are going to be the main providers of output from those wide positions, which is compounded by having 3 centre-backs or at least 3 defenders in the back 3. There's also no point keeping players like Shaw, Martinez and Mount all at the club. Sell at least 2 of them because the probability of even 2 of those players being able to cumulatively play more than 30 games in a season is low, let alone all 3. Martinez needs to be upgraded upon as a left-sided centre-back anyway. I think the reputation around how good he actually is in terms of current ability in that particular role has been massively inflated due to him being so injury prone and barely actually featuring for a sustained period over the past 2 years. I mean, you've got Heaven and Kokonki who are definitely good enough in terms of near potential wise to hold down a covering backup role at left-sided centre-back for next season, while centre-backs like Euro and Dalot can also play there if needed. Dalot and Dorgu would bring in around £25 to £30 million each, with about £30 to £35 million of that being pure profit as well. Sell Martinez 33 to about 35 million I think we could get, and Shaw for maybe 5 to 6 or 7 million on top, which would be a combined 35 to £40 million for those two, and that would also get £14 million off the wage books in the process, and would see United pocketing around £25 million of that in pure profit, which alongside Dalot and Dorgu would be around £100 million in total, 50 to 60 million in pure profit, and about £20 million off the salary books. Now from here around February, March, April time, go to Inter Milan and offer £23 to £25 million for 28-year-old Federico Dimarco, who will have 1 year left on his contract come the summer, and £20 to £30 million for 30-year-old Dumfries, who will have 2 years left on his contract. And whilst you're talking to Inter Milan, you've already gone and sorted out your wing-back issue, as well as already doing a double deal, so you may as well try to throw in Bastoni there, who will be 27, with 2 years left on his contract for about £50 to £60 million, taking the total of the three to between 110 to about £120 million, alongside maybe £22 to £24 million in salaries as well. Now yes, they are older players, but they're in their peak. I mean, this stupidity of not wanting to sign players over 25 so you can fantasise about how great the team will be in 5 years, whilst also refusing to lay blame at the manager's door for poor results, citing the current squad ability as that excuse, is just becoming retarded at this point. I mean, pick a transfer strategy that isn't going to be used as your reasoning for the poor performance and results from the manager. I mean, the whole process at United is just completely contradictory at the moment. Now, we'll be putting up follow-up videos separately analysing the signings of Dimarco, Dumfries and Bastoni from both a tactical and statistical perspective, but in short, Bastoni might just be the best left-sided centre-back in world football. Dumfries is probably the second or third best, behind only Hakimi and maybe also Trent, and now that Teo is in Saudi, I think you'd have to say that Dimarco is ahead of the likes of Alphonso Davies, Alvaro Fernandez and Kirkes, alongside Nuno Mendes as the best left wing-backs in Europe at the moment. And in my opinion, I think all three of those Inter Milan players have all had a sustained period of an elite performance level that can now warrant the label of world class, while still collectively having at least 3 years left as elite level players. Bastoni and Dimarco 4 at least, likely maybe 5 or 6, whilst all having played for one of the best club sides in European football over the past 3 to 5 years, playing in a 5-man backline defensive system. You'd have Dumfries and Dimarco as wing-backs, Bastoni left of a back three, Euro or Mazraoui at right-sided centre-back, depending on what style of a right-sided centre-back you needed on that side. De Ligt would be central with Lammens behind in goal, and you could also go out and get a more experienced veteran keeper to play behind in, maybe one of them playing in the cup competitions, but this keeper would need to have a proven statistical record via a positive expected goals prevented rate over the past few seasons, who also excels when it comes to claiming crosses and winning aerial duels, whilst ideally also being a highly accurate long kicker as well. Now in central midfield, Casemiro's contract is up at the end of the season anyway, and I think if Jim Thwaite, Sekou Kone and or Tyler Fletcher can be given game time towards the end of the season, then United can integrate them into the squad for next season, which would enable us to replace Casemiro as the backup central midfielder in the squad, not with a signing that's going to cost a transfer fee and a fairly significant wage package as well, but instead with 2 or 3 of the youth prospects, allowing us to then retain close to 90 to 95% of that massive £18 million salary of Casemiro's for the wage books next season. But alongside Casemiro, I think if Amorim is going to stay, I think you have to sell both Manu and Ugarte. I mean, there's no point selling Bruno Fernandes and keeping one of those, or even both of those two, because you are significantly weakening Amorim's starting lineup. Rather than replacing and upgrading your best players on current ability, who are currently starters in Amorim's system, as we did with Ahmad over the summer, it makes more sense just to sell the players who aren't already in the best 11, and then use those funds to upgrade upon those players in the best starting lineup, which will simultaneously strengthen the starting 11 as well as strengthening the quality and depth that you have as well. And so this would leave you with Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount, both of whom I think can function in a midfield double pivot, playing alongside a highly efficient ground covering ball winner, or even together in a midfield three, with Thwaite, Kone and Tyler Fletcher more than capable of being used as backup options in the squad for those deeper central midfield roles. And so with the £100 million or so raised from the departures of Manu, Ugarte and Casemiro, even with Ineos, and without any potential new investment from potential buyers, United could still afford to go into the transfer market and bring in 2 highly complete, potentially elite level central midfielders. And I'm going to be discussing which combination of midfield signings I would look to prioritise going into 2026, as well as how different systems would function with these new additions, specifically looking at how Dumfries, Dimarco and Bastoni would significantly improve Amorim's current 3-4-3, but also other back 3 and back 5 and even back 4 systems that could be used by other coaches if Amorim was to get sacked. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and give the video a like so you are likely to get recommended the follow-up episode. And if you do want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to jerseyfifa.co. You can use code Atlantis at checkout for a 10% discount. I'll leave a link in the description and in the comments section below. And you can also sign up to my Patreon and get a 7-day free trial. I'll leave that linked on the end screen now as well.